creative process. That's what we're here for, not robots and AI, like everything else here. So, I don't know, oh, that's Jackie, that's Cam.
Yes, yes.
That's Andy.
Let's start with the hardest times, places, headspaces to be creative. We'll start with the negative.
I'm starting hot.
Who wants to?
All right, well, it's pretty hard to create when you just know that like 100 people are dying every hour right now.
Yeah.
It's extremely difficult to create in times of war, especially when you guys are supplying the weapons for the war.
Yes.
Especially when you're sitting on the panel of an event sponsored by people who are supplying the weapons for the war. So yeah, let's start
Yeah.
hot. Let's start hot.
Yeah.
Very hard, because it's like, I want to create songs. I want to put good vibes out there. I go on the very platform where I want to spread the good vibes, right? And I immediately after uploading my video, uploading my song, whatever, something I'm very excited about, something I want to put out there positively, I scroll down and I see dead kids.
Yeah, I share Jackie's sentiment through and through. It's very hard to create. Let me go back a bit. It's very hard to create as an independent artist in the United States of America when you live in a country that doesn't support art as a real job. And then to try to do the right thing and be the best version of yourself, entrepreneurial-wise, that you can be, it's soul crushing to go onto these platforms and try to market your work, try to connect with fans, and to see children having their insides blown apart, people starving to death. And, you know, I could be talking about multiple places in the world right now. And it's also very hard to create when you don't have the resources that you need. And I feel like what we're saying right now, just when you're depressed, the creative work comes out for some people, but when it's nonstop, it's insane. To go back to, say, 2020, March, April, May 2020, I was live streaming every other day and having a great time. I was shroomed out of my brain and just like really on cloud nine. I was like, man, I'm gonna go back eventually, but I appreciate this living wage for 5 seconds, and had all these people, man, thank you for bringing me joy. Thank you for bringing me joy. And then when George Floyd was murdered in front of my eyes and the rest of our eyes, it became something to where I felt like I was being a puppet, because it was, Cam, when's the next show happening? When's this happening? And I would see the suppression of my posts about just how we needed to have a bit more action around what had just happened getting suppressed on my Instagram page. While my music or photos of, you know, my cleavage in the sunshine or, you know, whatever were just amplified. And I'm seeing the same thing now, where it's, if I sing something online or if I share something in real time, it will be the thing that's put to the forefront. All of a sudden, my stories are being shared. All of a sudden, you're seeing my work again. If it's me just posing, ooh, like. If I post something about a protest, if I post something about a petition, if I share the death that I had just seen, because I know it's not being shared on mainstream news, it gets suppressed. It gets shadow banned. And it's not just for the day, it's for many days. And I'm at a point right now where Jackie and I are both independent artists, and we're under no obligation to pretend like this shit isn't happening. And, you know, someone's not going to be like, you're fired or you're never going to play here again. Like, fuck that. We always got a job. But it's insulting at the same time to feed these machines that we're told we have to use to connect, and then see everything we've worked for get suppressed because we had the nerve to what? Be an artist that reflects the time?
To not be okay with kids getting bombed. The audacity, right? And then also, it's so poignant. So it's like we're independent, right? We have the power to speak out against things. We're not being threatened on losing a job. But it's almost like we aren't really independent. We do depend on things. Being independent means you don't depend on things. No, we depend on the platforms. We depend on the algorithms. We depend on not being shadow banned. And also imagine the psychological aspect of when you try to speak out and try to help, it gets suppressed. But when you dance for the cameras, dance, when you dance, they reward you. So it's almost like, how do I exist without contributing to the oppressors? How do I do that? Is there any ethical consumption under capitalism at all?
That was the question that I was asking Jackie before we came out as well. I know that's not the theme of our conversation. We will eventually get into the creative process.
It is now.
But I will say, in line with how it made me feel super uncomfortable to see the army drones and all this other shit when I went into the conference hall thinking I was going to see some guitar picks and shit or whatever, you know, I'm now wondering, damn, what festival has clean money?
Yeah.
Is the same...
It's a genuine question.
Are we going to ask the same questions of C3? Are we going to ask the same questions of Coachella? Where the money's coming from? Like I'm just kind of very, very much so wondering where we're headed.
Once we peep under the hood.
So yeah, it's really hard to fucking create right now, but we're trying.
it's real.
I'm doing my best.
The vibe out there is dense.
And I hate to start with all the roadblocks, but as independent artists, and as we're talking about, you know, having to monitor whether people are seeing your stuff, the shadow bans, etc. I mean, you're involved in every element of your career as independent artist, even if there's a manager, even if there's a booking agent.
Absolutely.
That is traditionally the age-old, most common roadblock to creativity. The fact that you're forced to be an MBA over here and an artist, a creative person over here. And they don't always work together, and a lot of people aren't wired that way. Correct. At all.
No.
You both seem to be wired more towards being able to do it both, but it can't be comfortable to have to do it both. And I'm imagining that's still a roadblock to creativity.
Yes, and for me, I'm not good at booking. I'm not good at managing. I am just able to do it to a certain point, but I am good at finding people. I am good at seeing someone who's smart. I'm good at giving people chances. And so even before I have had the team that I have now, I had this hodgepodge, ragtag team of friends. Just like, I hired this guy I met downtown to just answer my emails for me, and then he moved. After 6 months, he moved. It wasn't permanent, but for 6 months, my emails were on point. They were always responded to right on time. I got gigs that way, you know.
Which gave you more time to do other things creatively.
Which gave me more time to maybe find the booking connection. You know, like booking for yourself is very hard and extremely depressing. But if you can get people to kind of like within the booking ease up on the, like, maybe you book the show, but you get your friend to help you advance the show. You know, make sure that there's the right equipment there and stuff like that. It's like before I was able to find the team that I have right now, I was able to find creative solutions to my weaknesses.
Which is a form of creativity.
Indeed. Yeah, like branch out the creativity beyond music. If you're creative, you're creative, you know?
Yeah, I was just laughing about the idea of hiring someone. I was like, oh, that would have made life easier for a minute. Yeah, when I first started, I was definitely answering emails under an assumed white man's name that I had created. Yeah, and I was getting responses. Yes. I was getting answered to. But in the same breath, having that team has opened the door for me being able to work in a much more creative, in a much more efficient way. Just because you can do it doesn't mean you should do it. Correct. And honestly, getting to a point of my career and maybe my own, ego to accept help has been the best thing that's ever happened to me. And knowing the difference between someone that actually genuinely believes in what you're doing, that wants to help you, rather than someone that just wants to be present or kind of like be there for the show. But I feel like all of us as artists, we know who's actually here to do the work. And when you have that support system there, whether it is a friend before you have the people that know how it works through and through, just someone you can trust, it makes having this time, this focus to create on the real shit so much easier. And I feel like I'm finally in a place in my career where it's like, damn, I finally am so supported. I can work on these weird, obscure projects that I used to just like casually. We all have that one where we're like, I'm gonna make that one house album, like, whatever.
Jackie the Robot, yeah.
Exactly, but now, and it's happening because you have the support system that you need.
I mean, in one way, you can chase those obscure things. In another way, you can be more selective and say no to more things.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And I imagine that every decision is a gut check of, is this going to help business-wise, or is this going to help, or could I be spending this time better being creative? On the other hand, you do nothing but the creative part, and what are you doing it for? Because likely no one's going to hear it if you don't have that other side handled.
Absolutely.
I mean, is that the constant internal struggle?
It is the constant internal struggle, and this industry is not for the faint of heart at all. Like, I highly recommend, if you're really making money like that, get a fucking therapist. Like, because it's so hard. And I'm not just talking about, what people industry-wise will say to you. I'm talking about the peace and consistency and the discipline that is required to be a successful artist. Like, that comes with way more work than I know I was told about. I didn't know that, hey, you want to put that record out, you want to be out here, you might need to know how the whole process works from front to back if you're not signing with a label. If you want to be independent in 2024 is not independent in 1996. For myself, my biggest references growing up in Houston were these rappers selling out of their trunk and these punk rock dudes selling, wherever the hell they were allowed to do stuff. I had no concept of what made sense, what didn't. All I knew was make sure you get your money. Beyond that, I had no concept of the relationships, the advantages, and what it actually took to just have the business side work. And now I'm in a point where sometimes I have to check myself as a businesswoman to remember that I'm an artist first. And I say that because sometimes I'll find myself so deep in it, and I'll be like, all right, if I'm giving somebody 12% and 5% and 3% to help me with the X, Y, and Z, I should be allowed to be on my guitar right now. I should be able to be in Logic right now. And if I'm not, and I'm real thick in, and it's not tax season or something that requires me to be on the admin side like that, I'm doing somebody else's job on my team. But again, like I keep saying team, and I know that there's people in this audience that are probably like, team, bitch, I'm just trying to like finish recording my first, but but at the same time, I want to keep saying it because once you do allow yourself to trust people, give out chances, like Jackie said, and let people in that support you, I feel like the whole world opens up.
Yeah, it actually, for me, the turning point was the team. The turning point was getting a lot of attention streaming in 2020, and then that making me interesting to people who are on a slightly higher level than my hodgepodge ragtag team of friends, And that has been a complete game changer. It's actually like, I used to have conversations with like my colleagues around town. They'd be like, hey, Jackie, how did you book this show? How did you get that opportunity? And at that time, without a team, I would tell them this really long story. It's like, well, back in 2014, I met blah, blah, blah. And then we went and did, it was always like this crazy thing. And now it's just, my agent got that. They're like, how did you get that opportunity? I'm like, my agent got that. Well, how would I get that opportunity? I'd have to ask my agent. I don't know how he got it. Like, he just got it. I woke up one day and there was an email and he was like, you want to do this? And I was like, yep. And that's how it is now. It's very hands off, or sometimes I say nope. You know, sometimes I'm like, nope, don't want to do that. Yep, do you want to do that? Hey, can you get more money for that? Hey, can you get them to pay for the hotels for that? It's just one short conversation, and then they just take care of it. And how I got there was just trusting people, like Cam said.
And being consistent.
And having a vision, like, okay, so one day you want an agency, right? But an agency, they maybe maximum have 20 agents on their team. So let's just get real here. Like, let's just be FFR for a second. Be freaking for real for a second. And let's say you are an artist and you know you have talent and you know you're very good. And you know that, like, you could be really successful. You believe in yourself in that way. That's beautiful. Never lose that. But also step out from it. How many albums do you have? How many gigs have you played? What's your show like? Have you ever filmed a show? Do you have any videos on YouTube? Do you even exist on the internet? Let's just be real. Like, just be real. And if the answer is no to most of those questions, don't beat up yourself. Still believe in yourself, and then start a goal. I got to get some videos up. Okay, I got videos up. Next, I got to get some gigs out of my city, just in the next city over. Like, just to prove that I know how to play a gig in another town. Like, how are you going to get these 20 agents of the 10 million artists they could choose from? How are you going to get them to choose you if you have 2 years of experiences versus another artist who wants the same agent has 15? Like, are you really going to get mad at the agent for not choosing you? No, they're going to choose the artist with 15 years. They have to make money too. They have to, whenever they open up their network to book that artist, that's their reputation on the line. If they book an artist that hardly has any experience, they show up and they kind of bomb the show because they don't have a lot of experience, that reflects on the agent too. They might lose that connection forever. For all the rest of their artists on their roster, they might lose that connection because you screwed up the gig. Yeah. For real, like, it's like you have to think about the other end of it's a two-way street. You're very talented, but how organized are you? And if you're not very organized, start taking the steps to get organized. It doesn't matter how long it takes, just start.
I would add on just to everything you just said, because I have a lot of artists that are like, well, how do I get an agent? How do I get an agent? How do I whatever? I ask them just from a live performance perspective, do you have 60 minutes of music that you can perform consistently? Do you have 75? Do you have 90? If you can say, I have 120 minutes, 2 hours of original music, or I have an hour of music and maybe 30 minutes of covers that I can do, and this is only coming from a live music perspective. And I'm not talking live hip hop, I'm not talking live pop. I'm talking people that you need to show up with 60 minutes for this gig. You need to show up for 75 minutes with this gig. If you can do that consistently and book yourself in those 60, 75-minute gigs, and you can do everything that Jackie's talking about in which you are sharing it. I feel like the share aspect is where...
Do you exist?
Do you exist?
Seriously. Because the 25 people who were at your show, they're going to leave, and that show never happened. It lives in their memory.
Exactly. But if you can also if you know you can pull at least 25 people in your market, that might not sound like a lot of people. If a touring band is coming through and that promoter's like, this person locally they're great, they're good for like 25 tickets, that might be the 25 tickets they need to get to a sellout. Yeah. And you have to know your worth from that regard, but you also have to know your worth from how you want your audience to see you. And every agent that I've had thus far, it came from the reputation that I had from my live shows. The acting agents that I have came from me doing my live streams. My shitty little bedroom COVID live stream, led to something so much more down the line. But it's all about the consistency, the way you choose to share, and how you share it.
All right, let's go back to the therapy piece of this, which ties back to the do you exist piece of this.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which ties back to, at some point early in the process, you don't exist. And that's when you need to be the most creative too, because like you say, you need to build out that set, build out the material so that you have a chance to exist.
Yes.
And if you're dealing with imposter syndrome, you're dealing with I don't exist, you're dealing with
my work's not good enough.
Exactly.
This visual isn't good enough.
Then sitting down and putting pen to paper or hands to piano or whatever it is gets more difficult.
Full disclosure, you can't find it online. But full disclosure, my first EP was not mixed, was not mastered. I put that bitch on MySpace, and I was here in 2008, baby. I was here. I was like, yeah, I got music out. This is my link. And I'm saying, like, right now, you know, we talk about TikTok, we talk about Instagram, Facebook, or Meta, whatever it wants to call itself now. No disrespect if you with them, I don't care. But, I mean, give me some money and I'll care. Stop shadow banning me and I'll care more. But I'm saying, if you know you got it, the people that are there to receive you and help you will know you have it too. Yeah. Like, I think back on some of my earliest videos. It's funny now because I know I used to get yelled at because it wasn't in landscape mode. I was like, but this is, and now all the reels are up, right? But the thing is that it allowed people to see me. When COVID first started, the sound quality on everybody's video for the most part was shitty, right? You're like, this looks like shit. Y'all all got the same dying pothos. Like, what's going on? And it looked like, from the mental health perspective, you know, me and my therapist, we Gucci. I was like, you know, I'm gonna buy some mushrooms and some lights. And so I went on a trip. I bought a fog machine. And I put on Instagram, I was like, I got a new show.
I saw it. I saw your post early in the day. What? You were like, I got new stuff coming tonight. And I'm like, I'm going to be there.
Y'all want to hear something crazy, though? On one of my Instagrams, my acting agent I talked about, she tags Diane Warren. Diane Warren lost her 15th Oscar last night for music, for Best Original Song. If you're newer and you don't know her, she wrote I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. She wrote Angel of Mine, Blame It on the Rain, all these different songs. Anyway, she tags Diane Warren in my live stream where I'm like fucked up and I'm in front of my fog, got my roommate, I'm like, press the fog machine again. And I see on the comments, yeah, like, hit it, girl. But if you donated $1, we'd give like extra fog. It's like, and I see Diane Warren pop up in the comments. And I'm like, wait, what? And she's commenting, she's like, oh, this is fun. And I start singing, she's like, oh, I got a song for her. And I'm like, what? And so, yeah, my band's last album, Bitches Gotta Get Paid, written by Diane Warren. But I'm saying this came from, this came from a $47 fog machine. Yes. The not great, you know, when any lighting person in here will be like, what? You know the not great light where you have to press it like 20 times? Like, I had like 3 of those. And I was like, look, just put them in different parts of the room. Put the fog, I had 2 fog machines. I was like, put them over here. We're good. We're good. I learned how to do sound so that we could make more money. My friend was like, I'd come to this more, but the sounds shitty. So I put up on the thing, I don't know what I'm doing. Somebody help me. Somebody literally showed up on the Instagram. Cam, I'm going to show you how to use a Focusrite because, baby girl, I know what you're trying to do, and we're going to get there. So by the next week, our first live stream, we made like $300. And that last week when George Floyd was murdered and I stopped, we were making $4,000 a week in tips off this $47 fog machine. And you know what I'm talking about, too. This is a live stream queen right here.
Digital tips were lit.
Shit.
I didn't accept any of the grants that year. 2020, it was like, oh, unemployment, oh, musicians, live music fund. I didn't accept any of them because I'm like, I'm good.
I was splitting with 9 dudes. We definitely.
Yeah. Well, I'm just me. A different situation. But I didn't accept any of that money because I was like, I'm good on the Venmo tips. Yeah. Let somebody else have that money, you know?
I love that.
Let one of your 9 dudes have that
money. Yeah, one of my 9 guys.
But COVID aside, or maybe not COVID aside, I mean, safe to say you're in the best headspace you've been in a long time?
COVID was the first time I went a whole year without being touched without permission.
Wow. That's called healing.
It was the first time I wasn't dealing with active oppression. It was the first time that I was able to show what I could do. I learned guitar during COVID. I blame her and Nicole Atkins for my heavier bag fees now at the airport. But like, honestly, it was the first time I was able to create and exist without active gaslighting because I wasn't dealing with people in real time. Because if y'all was outside, no judgment, but I was like, we about to be beamed up. I have to be ready. Star Trek showed us there's a bar in space, so I know they got shows in space. And I was just ready. Like y'all, I'm so serious. I thought it was gonna go down. And it didn't happen, so I was like, damn, I should probably learn a skill. And
Backup plan.
yeah, I know. And like honestly, being able to learn and go to YouTube, ask my friends, and not have to deal with the oppression, and not just like, when I say oppression, I don't just mean like, oh, as a black woman, as a woman, as whatever. I mean the oppression of someone else's projection when they think that they're the only person capable of doing a certain skill. Yeah. And anybody that's growing up in Texas, your parents will talk about the classes that they had growing up. We had home ec and we had this. And I can talk about how I had magnet school programs and I had art and I had all of this. And my nieces and nephews, they can't talk about any of that stuff. They're like, what are you talking about, girl? What are you talking about? And I think about it in how, even in high school, it was, well, you can't do all of these things. You have to pick one thing. And that's where a lot of that begins, right? It's, well, you can only, why? Why? Because our counterparts on the East and the West, they're learning logic and stuff in high school. They're learning it in middle school, and some at even younger ages. And I think, man, maybe for myself, I don't think this for anybody else, but that time off was so necessary so that I could regroup mentally, creatively, and see what I was actually capable of, which was a lot more than I'd been told I was capable of.
For me, the downtime gave me the opportunity to finally found the pathway that I needed to take. I always thought the pathway I needed to take was touring. I thought like, okay, I had these goals where like, I want to be a notable artist in Austin. I want to be a notable artist in Texas. And then after that, maybe a notable artist in the United States. I like to take things at a step by step so I don't get overwhelmed. And so I'm like, okay, how do I become a notable artist in Austin? I'm looking at what the notable artists in Austin all have in common. They all tour. And I'm like, okay, noted. So for 6 years prior to the pandemic, I would put myself out on tour, even if that meant doing an open mic tour. I mean, literally going to Houston, playing an open mic, going to Dallas, playing an open mic. Like, I called that a tour. I got gigs that way sometimes, and I kind of was hitting this wall where I could not find an agent because I didn't have enough experience in venues that made agents go, oh, she's played there. I didn't have enough. I was just doing this hodgepodge network of gigs that like I was just putting together myself. And it wasn't until 2020 that I realized that the internet was the pathway. That is when you go play a show somewhere else, right? Let's say it's 150 people can fit in the venue. And let's say like pie in the sky, you sell it out, right? It's still only 150 people that saw you. And when you started the gig and when you ended the gig, the moment's gone. Those people will go home and they'll remember it, and that's cool. When you do a live stream, it stays up for as long as you let it. And some of my live streams from 2020 right now have 5 million views, 10 million views, because they've been up for 4 years, and they've just been, every now and then they hit an algorithm and they shoot up like 500,000 views and then kind of disappear back into the background. And then a year later they hit another algorithm, shoot up 1 million views. That one gig I played one time for one group of 150 people will never do that. And I never realized that. Because I'm also like working from the model of the old industry, like go out on the road and get discovered. Like that was when the industry didn't have the internet, that was the goal. And I didn't really realize that. And then 2020 forced me to stay home. 2020 made the internet the only outlet. And that's when I was forced to learn that lesson.
But from a creativity standpoint, if you're getting all this instant feedback on the internet and it's telling you, we like this thing you do, whatever that thing is. And that's constant. You're constantly getting that feedback or it's we don't like this thing that you thought was the thing. Creatively, when you sit down to create new work, how much do you have to tune out some of that success because you keep delivering on that success, you're just feeding one angle of who you could be. Does that make sense? I mean, it's
Yes.
almost the avoiding putting yourself in a box based on feedback.
Are you talking like
Yes.
trying to top yourself or trying to like
Keep reinventing
Keep
yourself. Not writing the
reinventing.
same song over and over and over
Or maybe
again.
it's the fear of reinventing yourself because this other thing's working.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's where I was originally headed. But
Oh, I know exactly what that's like. Right now, of all my albums, my most successful album is my blues album. And of all my videos, my most successful videos are my blues videos. It's probably going to be 10 years before I put out another blues album. Like, I'm very hard-headed, and I'm very stubborn.
Yeah.
And when I tell you that this next music I'm coming out with sounds rad, I don't care that you don't, that you want it to be blues. I don't care. It's like, no. This stuff is rad, bro. And then I don't even care if I sign on and see that like my blues album's got 3 million plays, but my jazz rock album has, 200,000. Whatever, give it time. I don't care. Like, I just don't even care because like I get hypnotized by what sounds good. If it sounds good, like y'all got to hear it. And if right now people are liking my blues stuff, I don't care where they spend their money, man. It's like I'm not gonna stop people from giving me money. If you want to pay for my blues album, cool. If you pay for the blues album, you don't want to pay for the jazz album, somebody else will. Like I'm not gonna tell people what to buy. I'm gonna cast a wide net, and I'm not gonna let that inform what I do in the future.
Yeah, I'm with Jackie 1,000%. With my band, The Suffers, our first album, which is our truly independent through and through, no label partners record, self-recorded for the most part. That's our most successful record. However, our last album, similar to what Jackie's talking about, has singles on it that are performing better and starting to outpace the songs from that first record. And it is the first time, that album that we did last was the first time I stepped into the executive producer chair. And it was something that going in, I had so many people that were like, are you sure you want to do this? Aren't you sure? And everybody they'd recommend was a man. And that's cool and all, but I knew what I was doing at that point. I have no interest in doing a copy paste of any work that I've ever done. With the new work that The Suffers is working on, there are a few songs that do kind of lean more into that traditional soul funk arena. But also for myself as a solo artist, I could have easily been like, you know what, guys, I'm gonna go into R&B. I'm just gonna go do it. And people would have been like, all right, girl, yeah, hell yeah. But I'm like, I'm gonna fuck around and do this country, this folk, this Americana. And then when, Sister Knowles decided to drop these songs last month, I said, go ahead and crawl. So I just have to walk on up in this bitch. Thank you. Thank you. And I tell people, I come from Houston. That's the land of Barbara Jordan and Beyonce. I will do whatever I want to do because I can. And the relatability, who's consuming it as an artist, like, it's a gift to be able to get to the finish line on any project, whether it's for commercial success or whatever. And I have projects where I'm like, if you find it, cool, that's whatever. If you don't, okay, that's whatever. But I had to learn to stop being so precious about my work when I know I'm not the type of artist that's only gonna release every couple years or whatever. Like, no, I'm writing multiple songs. I'm writing, a catalog. The release of and consistency of it all is a different timeline. But the genre and where it lives, like, nah. Like, maybe it's not all under Cam Franklin. Maybe it's not all under The Suffers. Maybe I have these ghost names, and I definitely do. But I feel like as artists, because we are now living in an age where you can self-distribute through a TuneCore, through a DistroKid or whatever, if you have everything in line ready to go, and you're like, well, I want to wait on this, and I want to just see how this does, cool, do that. In regards to what she was talking about and how we make money now, it's like an endless thing. It used to be, we made all our money from touring, but last year it was touring and sync and license until the strike happened. Thank God that's over. But it's like, I didn't know that that was like a truly profitable way to make money until I really got into it. And since being here just this weekend, I've had people talking to me defeated, talking about, well, I'm trying to get in the syncing license. I'm trying to find a admin person. Like, you don't need no admin person. Just get on Disco and upload your music. Yeah. They're like, Disco.
CD
I'm
Baby
like,
will do it.
See, you know,
they'll
like,
pitch your stuff. Yeah.
But it's usually just a mix of education, accessibility, confidence. Going back to that the mental health conversation. If you don't believe in you, why should somebody else? At the end of the day, you know, and if you're trying to get their money, their investment, baby, we got to make sure you're not going to have a breakdown. We got to make sure that, you know, the work's going to be finished so that we can, see some type of potential return on our investment, but also so that they're not wasting their time as your team. And for myself, I've invested, I could have spent some money on some dumb shit that I wanted, but like gave it to this therapist. And at first I was just like, why am I here? And like now I'm like, dang, I have to get myself together because I've chosen to be in an industry filled with many people that are glorified for being pieces of shit and mean. And I know that if I'm showing up right, I'm consistent and doing what I need to do, I'm good. I'll always have a job.
I mean, we've been sitting here talking about business a lot.
Yeah.
But that's not a non-creative. If business is over here and creativity is over here,
yes,
or at least that's the way fundamentally we think of it, being creative about your business approach is creativity.
Absolutely.
Yes, they do intermingle. They're not truly separate. They
and that's something you got to learn, I guess, through trial
yes.
and error. Yeah.
Yes. I have to get so creative. I have to get creative with so I worked for 5 years with looper pedals because I was trying to supplement players because this tour would pay X amount of money and it couldn't afford 3 people, but it could afford 2. And how sad is it that you could go on the tour if you had it worked out for 2 people, but because you don't, you have to say no. Right. That sucks. I only had to say no 2 times before I was like, no, I'm never saying no again. I'm going to have a solo option. I'm going to have a duo option. Yep. So I worked with a looper pedal for a long time. Creatively, I reached its ceiling. I wanted to be able to do different types of songs. And the loop kind of forces you to only do songs that can loop. It's like, I want songs that change keys. I want songs that change time signatures, tempos. You can't really do that with a looper. You can't just like, take it to the bridge, boom. Like you can't do that with a looper. It's like, take it to the bridge. And then you start building the bridge. And then 4 minutes later, now you're... Don't get me wrong. Like there's a lot of my songs that actually work very well with a looper, but there's a lot of my songs that don't. And like Cam says, it's about building a catalog. And so I had to figure out how to make it so that I could sound like 6 people with 2 people. And that was so that I could go and tour more, especially when I got the agency. They were getting me these gigs, and the gigs do pay well, but they also sometimes are far away, so the expenses are higher. And I have to be able to match their energy when they're going to get me gigs and get me pay and try to convince these people to pay me enough to bring 3 people. I have to match their professionalism with my creative solution to this band thing. I can't always have a huge band. And even with your huge band, you have smaller instrumentations of it. I've seen it 5-piece, I've seen it 4-piece, I've seen it 9-piece, I've seen it 7-piece. Like you've had to also get very creative with how you present your music so that you can further the business.
But early on, you had to resist the people that were telling you you can't do it with a 10-piece band because that's impossible to tour with, etc. Yeah. So that's a creative decision to have stayed that way.
Absolutely. When we first started, we had so many people. Why are you have a 10-piece band? Why do you have a 10-piece band? And I'm like, we write the songs together. It wasn't a situation where at that time, even though I was contributing most of the lyrics, I wasn't writing those original key structures or anything like that. And the people always giving the advice were people, A, that we didn't know, B, that weren't investing in us, C, that had no concept of how things worked. And so I got to a point where I was like, I'm not going to take advice about this band unless it's from someone that's been in a band either 15 years plus or you've been in a band this big for 10 years plus. And that became my thing where I'm like, I appreciate your opinion, but I don't want to talk to you unless you're in a big band too. And so the first big person to give advice was Lionel Richie. And we opened for him at the F1 here. And he took the time and was like, don't y'all ever split up. And this is early on. He's like, don't y'all ever split up. They're going to try to split y'all up. They tried to kick me out, the Commodores. And I was like, what? He's like, they don't know who does what. Don't you tell them who does what. Just go with the flow. And I was like, yeah, you're right. And then we got Letterman. And that happened because of all 10. And I'll have people that try to, bump up my ego and be like, oh, it's all you. It's all you, And I'm like, it's a group. It's a group. I don't drive this van. I don't park this van. I'm not helping them set up shit during the shows, not because I'm incapable, but because as a team, it was a give and take situation. They knew I'd be in interviews and shit all day. Cool, they got the other side. We show up together and it's covered. And as a group of collaborators and friends and business partners, now that we look at ourselves as, it's a really beautiful place to be. And I'm really grateful that I'm surrounded by people that respect me in that capacity. But I tell every artist, if you really about to do this with this many people, make sure you like each other. Make sure you got your paperwork right and have a good time.
Are roadblocks easier, creative roadblocks easier to get past the longer you've done this? Or does it feel more intense and more pressure because now there's actual stakes?
I think it depends on the block.
Okay.
Like basic racism and sexism that I used to experience when I first started touring, like a sound guy being shitty to me versus, now where I don't care, how many men are on the road with me. I'm going to introduce myself. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to have a moment because every show I do is a collaboration. Even us being right here right now, y'all see the front side and the back. There's a group of people. There's a team helping us make this happen, putting those words on the screen, right? It's not just what you see on stage. And I think education is a part of the word I want to use, but it's more so around that every night collaboration that exists. When it comes to the roadblocks that I experience now, I experience more, the blacklisting isn't as bad post-2020. Before 2020, guys, I had the nerve to bring up pay inequity with women, black and brown people, and festivals. And my band was having a moment in the sun. We're playing NPR Tiny Desk, we're playing Daily Show, playing Letterman, playing all these things. And I'd go to festivals and, I'd be the only black person I'd see that day. But the lineup would have like Gary Clark Jr., Brittany Howard and the Shakes, and Leon Bridges, and we'd all be on different days. And I'd notice it over and over again, and I'd talk to you about it, and I would just talk about how, economically, this is fucked up because it doesn't allow any of us to collaborate, not just from the skin color, but there also weren't very many women out there. So I'm like, what's going on? You can't convince me that all of you are here to see the same person dressed the exact same way in all these same Levi's, at every single festival, and I kept being vocal about it because I knew that I wasn't insane. I knew so many people just that were waiting in the queue to like be heard, like what Jackie was talking about, just waiting to get an agent. And I'd have people that would be like, you need to shut up. This is your time. And you're not going to be invited back to this because you're making it hard. And I'm like, all right. So now we're fast forward past all the era of the black squares where people realized, damn, that bitch wasn't crazy. She was really trying to give us a heads up. Mm-hmm. And now we're here today, to go back to what we started. We all being called crazy, but we know we're not crazy. And when I look at these roadblocks, I'm like, nah, this is just an opportunity for me to see what's coming up next. A roadblock, all right, let me slow down and make sure my shit's together before I ascend to this next step in my career. Yeah, because
it's like a sign.
Yeah. For me, my roadblock this week was not having my insurance together the way I thought, my artist business insurance. And it almost cost me a lot of money because I thought I had it together. But now we're sorted, so if I need to be hired for something at that level again, I'm good. But a block ain't permanent. You can always go around.
I'm going to take a couple of these questions in a minute that are coming from the audience, but let's go back around to maybe a moment for each of you, and I know these moments exist where you've strung together the right set of words, and it may just be one line in a song, or it may be one, hey, I put this instrument here and this song completely changed because I hadn't pictured it being played this way. Those moments are maybe as, I'm assuming, as good as the 45 minutes or the hour on stage where you're getting that different kind of feedback. Talk to me about those moments, and they're usually probably alone, where you know you've done something right, and that this is that thing, or that you completed that song, and because those are the moments we don't get to see, but I know mean as much as the other stuff.
So I like to do this thing where I will come up with like a melody and like a groove, and I'll even maybe sometimes write that over a beat, and it'll sound great. It'll sound fine. I'm like, this is shaping up to be something really cool, and then I'll maybe sit with it for 2 or 3 days, and nobody's heard it. Not even my band's heard it yet, and so then I'll go back 2 or 3 days later, and I'll be like, am I sure? Am I sure this is the right beat, right? So then I'll mute the beat that I wrote it to, and I will, because it's always lined up to a click. So then I will go and I'll just like go to this beat library of like maybe 2,000 beats, like mayhem, alphabetical order. That's the only organization, right? And I'll just click another beat, and then like sometimes it'll just lock in, and I'll be like, oh my God, that beat is... Because this happened to me one time completely accidentally. I had written the song, and I had written it over this beat, and then I'd forgotten to record the beat, and I couldn't find it. And I'm like, oh no, and I'm thinking, oh my God, I had the song perfectly worked out. I'm never gonna get back to where it was again. Like no one was here when I was doing it, so nobody was remembered. Like, it's gone. And I'll go, and I'm like, whatever. I'm not gonna panic. I'm just gonna go try to find it. In the process of trying to find the original beat I wrote, I'll find a different beat. I'll be like, it's almost like God chose the beat. You know what I mean? Like, I had no idea that beat I had written it to wasn't the best beat. That is like pure magic, and nobody ever sees it.
Give me one of those moments.
I would say a moment like that was Second Suffer's album, and it's a process I do every record now, where I'm obsessed with vocals, like just vocal production and arranging, and I was having this song that was kicking my ass. It was just, I can sing my ass off, but when it comes to like runs and stuff, I got people that can run way better than me, right? And so I decided I was just gonna call some friends to help me. I was like, who can sing circles around me? Any singer knows. You bring another singer in, all of a sudden, even if you were doing your best, most warmed up singing, another singer comes in, you're like, oh, I can know, okay. You know, it just becomes like a very ridiculous game. Yeah. And so what I love to do, once a song is done, when it comes to ad-libs, I'll bring in like, say, 3 people, and I'll record them one by one. I'll say, do 3 rounds of ad-libs by yourself. We're done. All right, cool. Next person, bring in 3 rounds of ad-libs. We're done. And I won't let them hear each other's unless we're trying to do something specific. And then when everything's done, I'll play all 9 tracks of ad-libs at once. And then I'll go pick my favorites. And it sounds, it's really fun. And, you know, it at the time, it was kind of driving the engineer a little. He's like, what is she doing? What's happening? I said, we never question the guitarists when they do their tracks over and over again. So I'm going to do what I'm doing and have a nice day. And now every single session at the very, very end of all of our recording process, I usually do that same thing. And you get wild stuff because people are what? They're going off. They're kind of trying to approach it, but they're all approaching it in a way that I would never. And so then I listen to them, I come back, and I'm just like, all right, let me you know, and it's magic. And it taught me that, you know, I can do what I need to do, but I personally just need that extra little bit of sometimes from my friends.
Well, and that's routine that has a practical application, too.
And it works every time.
I mean, we hear about authors who spend, you know, who say they get up at 7 a.m., they force themselves, whether it's good or not, to write 2,500 words a day. and by 11 a.m. they are, they go to the gym. From noon to 2, they'll do calls, and 2 to 4, they'll write another 2,500 words. Do you guys have any of those kind of routines or that sort of set discipline, or is it much more of a moving target because you've got to do all the other stuff?
Super a moving target. I don't have any time for a routine. Routines are, no. Routine does not exist in my life. No.
I have to have a routine.
No.
I didn't used to. And life was probably better in some ways. But again, just because I've been so avid about my mental health, I wake up, I'm an Abraham Hicks subscriber, so you're going to hear first thing in the morning is that Esther talking crazy. What universe are you trying to make your own? And that's how I get my mind right. And I might stretch, I might do whatever, but I'm all about starting my day with vegetables of some kind. So it's usually something green. I'm smoking my joint, I'm drinking my coffee, and then I tap into my emails and whoever I've ignored from the night before text-wise. I try to stay off of social media until I absolutely have to be on there, because for a minute I thought I had an Instagram addiction. I was like, what is happening? I probably did, but now it's become a part of what I do. Tuesdays I look for grants that I want to apply for. Mondays I'm not taking any meetings whatsoever, and I really am avid about time for myself. Wednesdays and Fridays I do Suffers content creation. Thursdays and Saturdays I do my own, and that's what it is for me. And it didn't used to be like that, but because I'm so intent about having my solo career where I can do whatever the hell I want, as well as my career with my band, where we can do what we want to do as a group together, I had to get some consistency in the schedule and just for myself to finish things.
Is there a time to say yes and a time to say no? Meaning, you're not taking meetings on Mondays.
Yeah.
That's a luxury that you earned by all the years that you probably said yes to a bunch of shit that you didn't need to do, or that created those opportunities that eventually led you to have the luxury to say no. But it seems like saying no is more often than not an underrated part of the creative process.
Boundary establishment is something that I wish I had implemented earlier in my career. It's looked at as a luxury, but I look at it as a necessity, as well as going to sleep, drinking water, not taking certain gigs, Yeah. Again, for those of you that aren't familiar, my band's been together 13 years. I started doing this at 17. Hell yeah, I earned my Mondays off. But at the same time, does that mean that I'm going to encourage someone getting started to grind until they can't breathe? No, you have to do what your body is capable of doing. I think it's very misunderstood that we are all on an even playing field when we're not. And so for me, if that Monday off allows me to show up the other 6 days full force, versus that person that thinks that they got to work 7 days, 24 hours a day. No, I'm always going to beat them out because I'm going to be more rested, because I'm going to be more mindful that, dang, this is what it is. Because y'all can go back and see what the hell I looked like in 2018, 2017, when I was on that 24-hour lifestyle. I'm 60 pounds heavier, freaking drinking constantly because I'm freaking the fuck out about where this money's coming from, about my safety because I had motherfuckers in my hair. And that's not why I shake my head. No one's wanted to it is funny. But it wasn't a sustainable lifestyle, and it led me to understand why so many artists die so early, whether it's at their own hands or through their bad habits. It was so excessive and the care was absent. So for me, just because I don't take meetings on Mondays doesn't mean I'm not working on Mondays. I'm not sitting on a Zoom on a Monday. I'm not, especially if you ain't on my team and we don't have a reason to meet on a Monday. We can meet on Tuesday. you know, and it's given me an opportunity to do what I want to do and to like have a much easier life and achieve so much more creatively than I ever thought I could. Again, because I can, Sunday night, I know I'm gonna sleep in Monday morning unless something's off.
This might be an unfair question to. Do you want to answer that first one, or you want me to? Okay, you do.
The first one.
Okay.
As music artists in a time where there's need for constant content, how does that affect your music creation process? Do you feel rushed to create? My personal answer is no, I don't feel rushed to create because I have figured out a creative solution to that problem. And my creative solution to that problem is I film my shows, audio and video. I always have something to share. I have like 6 hours of concert material that none of y'all have seen that I'm going to be sharing over the course. I have a content schedule for my social media guy, and he has about 45 videos that he's going to share over the next 7 weeks. And we shot and filmed that video in one night, and I just paid somebody to edit it. I have not needed to create that content at all. So if you're looking for a way to have content constantly, start recording your shows, even if it means on your cell phone. Start recording your shows. Because you play 20 songs in a show, 10 songs in a show, that's 10 videos. 10 videos that can be cut up into 45-second clips each. And then this next question is also, what do you think about Spotify's platform?
Sorry, I also just want to add, because I feel like you gave me a great bit of advice last year in regards to my content, which was post it again.
Oh yes, delete the first time you posted it, and then post it again. You get 3 uses out of each and every single video, at least 3 uses. I have re-recorded entire albums and posted them again. Twice in a row now I've done that. And both of those albums have eclipsed the amount of people who listened to them the first time.
Yep.
So it's like, it's the internet. It's not like some stagnant room of bodies. It's the internet. It's like 1 million different people are going to see it at any given second. All the people who saw your video the first time you posted it might not be online the second time you post it. It's like, it's infinite, man.
Yep.
It's infinite. And then, this is a really good question. What do you think about Spotify's platform in the perspective of the artist? What are the benefits and concerns of putting your music on Spotify? This goes back to there is no such thing as ethical consumption under capitalism. I am between a rock and a hard place. I don't like Spotify. I don't like how they treat their artists. I don't like their splits. If I don't put my stuff on Spotify, people will not hear me. I will not exist. What do? That's what you're in between. You're in between, do you want this evil entity, or do you not want to exist at all? So the answer to that question is the answer to that question.
I can't stand Spotify either.
But what do we do about it? Like,
Exactly.
we just wait it out. And we can take our music off of Spotify at any time. We just choose not to because people find us there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something that in an era where we're having to fight to just get a penny per stream, and to hear people like Spotify CEO talk about how artists need to start releasing even more music to remain relevant on that godforsaken platform. Sorry, y'all, I haven't been right since I went to their headquarters and saw that they had bamboo floors on the rooftop in New York. I was like, y'all got a motherfucking froyo machine, and we over here eating cups of noodles. Anyway, it's fine.
Pressing that fog machine every 2 seconds.
Or last month when I was in LA and I saw that they had all these empty warehouses. They bought all this space and it's just empty because they don't know what they want to do with it. And I'm like, this was the same month where they were talking about if certain artists are not making or don't have a certain amount of followers, I think at least 1,000 followers, you're not going to be entitled to any of the profit share.
I feel like the Onion's title to that should be just when you thought we couldn't be any more evil.
And also, it comes
we
from
have an idea to get more evil.
Sorry, it just makes me more angry because Spotify CEO is not a creative at all. So it's like, how are you going to tell people that it costs so much money and from a lot of these artists to even put an album together, that now you're going to tell them that they have to make even more money and that they have to make even more music, make less, and that they might not even get anything because of something that wasn't negotiated amongst any artist. Like, they just make these rules the same. I feel equally the same amount of spiciness towards Apple Music and this spatial audio where they just change your music without even talking to any of the producers, any of the mixing people, any of the artists. But this is a different conversation, I know. But low key, if Daniel were here, I'd have a word to say to him.
I might have some hands too.
I'm not threatening violence on the
All
microphone.
right. On that note, we're getting the hook. Thank you for attending the Jackie and Cam podcast. You guys need one, for real.
Yo,
Sorry,
this last one is great. What's a practical tip if something is blocking your creativity? Keep trying anyway. Go take a break, take a walk, go smoke something, go have some sex, whatever you got to do. Eat something, and then try again. Thank y'all.